And Jonas, man, we talked about a lot of stuff today.
Yeah. NFL heating up, baby.
It is. But this story in the NFL is very, very interesting. And, a lot of the brothers, man, they're a little sideways over what's happened.
When you say brothers, what you mean? What do you mean by that?
African American people.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah,
Just
brothers,
curious.
the brothers.
Didn't know what you meant by that.
And whenever Jay-Z's involved, people are all in. Jay-Z, about the people. Until today.
And now there's some pushback, huh?
There's some pushback.
Okay.
Because, and here's the thing. Rob G's going to explain what happened. I'm going to tell you why I think people are within their right to push back on Jay-Z and this new deal with the NFL. Rob G, we got.
Well, that's right. He did have a small media conference with Roger Goodell to discuss the new partnership. And he was basically asked a bunch of different versions of the same question, which was basically, how involved was Colin Kaepernick in any of this agreement? Was he consulted in any way about this partnership? And here's what Jay-Z said. He said, quote, "We forget that Colin's whole thing was to bring attention to social injustice. In that case, this is a success. This is the next phase. There are two parts of protesting. You go outside and you protest, and then the company or the individual says, I hear you, so what do we do next? And for me, it's like action, an actionable item. What are we going to do with it? Everyone heard, we hear what you're saying, and everybody knows I agree with what you're saying with regards to Colin Kaepernick's message. So what are we going to do? Help millions and millions of people, or we can get stuck on Colin not having a job. And then he was also asked if he had spoke to Colin. He said yes, which was misreported that he had spoke to him about this topic, when he clarified later saying that he had spoke to him, but not specifically about this agreement.
Here's the problem, and I hear what he's talking about with action. But now you're going to the same people who did the unthinkable to Colin Kaepernick. That's the problem I have. The same people who blackballed a man from playing football, took away his livelihood because he had the nerve to stand up for something that's right. That's the problem. And it's always like they want to pay you off. Here's the money. Here's the check. Can you quiet down now so we can go ahead and keep doing what we're doing? And I think that's the part that's being lost. You're letting Roger Goodell and the NFL owners off the hook for what they did. If Colin Kaepernick couldn't play, he should have had a chance to go out on the field, fail like everybody else, get cut, and people can do that. That's not what happened here. They did not like the message. They didn't want to upset the apple cart. There have been nothing but great people in this country who have upset the apple cart. When the Brooklyn Dodgers brought in Jackie Robinson, other team owners said, we won't play the Dodgers. Branch Rickey, screw you. We don't want a black guy in the major leagues. Fans said they wouldn't come. You know what they did? They changed America because Branch Rickey, and I'm not saying it was all about Branch Rickey and being self-righteous and understanding the plight of the black man. Branch Rickey had a team in Brooklyn. He saw all these black people walking around, and they weren't going to his game. He said, how can I get these black people to buy baseball tickets? You know how? I'm going to bring one of the best athletes we've ever seen, and he's going to wear my uniform. Muhammad Ali, another guy who stood up for what he believed in. He didn't care about that box. You want the medal? He threw it into the river. Screw it. That's the same man now who was revered and who lit the torch for the Olympics in this country. That's the guy they vilified, who they hated. And now here we are, getting in bed with the same people who did this to Colin Kaepernick. This is the problem that I have. Just taking people's money isn't always the answer. Sometimes I'd rather have my dignity and not two dimes to rub together rather than take the money from the people who committed what they did was ill. They went against everything that sports is supposed to be about, which is about equal playing field. The strongest survive. The best guy gets the job. That's not what they did here. And you can paint it any way you want, and you can keep on. Even the NFL players took the $90 million check from the NFL. This is what they do. And they do nothing but tell you, oh, this is all about football. We're not interested in anything but football. Yet they have breast cancer awareness, right? What does that have to do with football? I want to go to a game. What's all the pink splash? I understand breast cancer awareness, but what does it have to do with football? You know why they do it? They make money off of it. They sell the pink garb. Women buy it. Everybody. That's why that's okay. They also, this is the same league that went to the state of Arizona when the people of the Commonwealth, Jonas, voted not to have the Martin Luther King holiday. And what did the NFL do? They showed up and they told the people of Arizona who voted for it in this country, if you don't have the Martin Luther King holiday, you'll never get another Super Bowl. Is that football or is that social? It's social when you want it to be social. I'm sorry. I can't get with it. Stop taking the money from the people doing the bad. What they did to Colin Kaepernick is unthinkable. He didn't do anything wrong. You would rather sign a guy who's abused women, beat up kids, whatever, drug users, everything. Those guys get second chances, but a guy who's standing up for the rights of unarmed black men who were being shot and killed all over this country, he's the enemy? Stop it. I'm disappointed in Roc Nation and Jay-Z today to partner with the NFL. I don't care what anybody says.
Why are they obligated to have to side with Colin Kaepernick? Why do they need to take up for his fight? His fight is his fight. They're looking at their own business. Why is it their responsibility? What is he doing wrong because he's putting together a halftime show? What's the problem? Because
he's the same guy who, when Colin was out the league, who refused to perform. But now he's okay with the NFL? Do you remember that? Him and Beyonce both.
Yeah, but I just...
How did it change?
But why is this always going back to Colin Kaepernick? Do you really think that if Colin Kaepernick wanted to play, that a team just wouldn't sign him right now? I don't think Colin Kaepernick wants to play. I think he's done with football. But I think the longer he stays silent and the longer he stays away from the game, the more everybody else speaks for him, and it keeps the narrative going. The idea that anybody out there thinks that the NFL is intentionally signing guys and just saying, screw you, Colin Kaepernick, that doesn't make any sense.
100%, I believe he was blackballed. And that's why, and here's the other thing, Jonas, why'd they settle with him? There was a court case that went forward. If there was no merit, they could have thrown the case out. There was a court case that they settled because they didn't want the texts and the emails and all their files to be looked at.
Why did he take the settlement?
Because I guess he figured when talking to his legal people that this is the best way rather than going through the whole trial.
But if you're really adamant about you want your rights fought for and you want to stick up for yourself and you're talking about Jay-Z taking money from the NFL, didn't Colin Kaepernick take money from the NFL in the settlement?
Yeah, because he was put out of a job unfairly. You know what? It happens all the time. People you ever hear of unlawful termination? You get paid when they fire you and it's not just. That's what he was entitled to. That he was an NFL quarterback making millions of dollars who was denied a job. He was entitled. That was not welfare. They took away his livelihood for no reason other than him standing up for what he believed in. And that's what this country's all about. It is. Where we lost our way.
I find it really hard to believe that guy just couldn't get a job. I think and I also think people forget this. So remember when Kaepernick was brought to Seattle? And I remember talking about this on my show and saying, look, Seattle makes a lot of sense to me because it's a similar offense, mobile quarterback. That fit made sense to me if you wanted to go be a backup quarterback. And Kaepernick was brought there. And while he was there, having a visit, things were reportedly going well. Right after that, the Seth Wickersham article came out about all the Seahawks not liking Russell Wilson and not getting along with him. And I said at the time, I said, all right, I guarantee you Kaepernick will not be signed by the Seattle Seahawks because they don't want to sign a guy who all the guys in the locker room love right after an article comes out in which they talk about how all the guys in the locker room don't love Russell Wilson. So that was terrible timing and bad timing. But I think that what also needs to be talked about here, I think it's more likely that Colin Kaepernick would love to come back to the NFL, but would love to come back to the NFL on his terms. And his terms haven't been available to where teams aren't willing to pay a guy to be a backup the amount of money that he is asking for in the NFL because of what he paid for before.
I've never seen any offer or anything that he asked for. I mean, that's a talking point, but I've never seen that. I've never seen him say, I got to have X amount of dollars or I won't play. I do believe deep in my heart that the only reason he wasn't allowed to play is because he did something that made the white fan base in the NFL uncomfortable. And they just don't want to deal with it in front. And that's it. This is my escape. I don't want to hear about it. I'm going to cover my eyes. I'm here to watch football. You heard it. And what was the distraction? Oh, they're doing it against the military. It's about the flag. It was never about that.
Yeah, but
but that's the distraction. Let me make it a distraction so that we can get away from what the real story was and what the real thing. It had nothing to do with. And the other thing is, wasn't it a cadet or a Marine who told him to kneel? That it wouldn't be as disrespectful if he knelt down. That's what he followed.
Okay, but also I think that, and what to your point, when you're talking about people, here's where I think we get lost in all this. Everybody feels strongly about it, but there's not enough people that are willing to, on both sides, look at both sides and be understanding to why you feel that way. And it's like, look, maybe people from a military background who are offended by him sitting down during the anthem, maybe they need to do a little bit better job at looking at why he did it. But I think also the Kaepernick supporters need to do a better job at looking at to why that's offensive to people in the military. Okay, look, we understand that you come from a different background.
You know what's offensive to me?
What's that?
Is to be an unarmed black man and get shot down by the police.
Of course, yeah.
Police are supposed to protect and serve. You can't ask me for my driver's license and shoot me. I will know.
I get it.
We can never stand for that.
I get it. I 100% get it.
I can't.
Yeah,
that's worth fighting for.
Okay, worth fighting for, but at some point...
It's bigger than a football game.
But at some point, we come all the way back around to Jay-Z partners with the NFL, and I'm hearing people throw out stuff like he's a sellout. He's a sellout because he doesn't agree with your approach to how he's going to handle and make things good with the NFL and try and...
Whenever there's money involved, this is going on in our history for a long time. This is what's done all the time. How do we shake it up or stop people from feeling, write them a check? It happens a lot. That's where the term comes out. That's why the term is used, because it has happened in our community.
Yeah.
Go to the loudest black guy in the protest and pay him. Tell him to go home and he's good. And then everybody else, there's no fight anymore. And I'm not saying that's totally where Jay-Z, but that's why people are always leery of it, because it's always, well, how about some action? NFL is the same way they went and fought for the Martin Luther King holiday and made it happen. Help me with that. Why did they do that?
Because they knew that there was...
Because they had a league that was 75% black, and it didn't make sense going to some place that wouldn't even recognize Martin Luther King of all people.
Look, I think it's a layered conversation that's got a lot of twists and turns, but I just don't agree with the approach of Jay-Z's a sellout because he partnered with the NFL. To me, I think you're starting to label people as something that I don't think that there's a clear-cut definition as to what's happening. And on top of all that, nobody's heard from Colin Kaepernick. Like, he hasn't spoken at all at any point. It's just all vagueness because it keeps the story going longer.
Here's my problem. Jay-Z, during the beginning, said, okay, I'm not performing for the Super Bowl. Neither was Beyonce. And now all of a sudden they're going to make the Super Bowl things better with their company. This is what happens. So what
progress?
What happened? Oh, is that what it is?
Progress.
Well, there was no check involved before. Remember, they don't pay you to be a halftime guest. Did you know that?
Yeah.
There's no money. All right, I want to hear from people. Are you happy with this new agreement, Jay-Z and the NFL, or you might be cool with it? I'm not cool with it. And Jonas, one thing that Skip always says when we talk about these topics on shows we've done, and I've done them with Skip since 2006, he always says it's not racist, it's racial, and there's nothing wrong with talking about it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, all right, let's go. We want to hear from you. 877-99 on Fox. John in North Carolina. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What you got, John?
Hey, I always enjoy the show. This is my second time on. Robert, I am a businessman myself and a pastor, and I was hearing you speak, and it was contradictory in a way. I think Jay-Z made a business decision. I think this is all business. The Colin Kaepernick made a business decision a few months ago with Nike, and he's getting paid handsomely for that. And I don't think the socioeconomic background of black people is such that every time something goes on, we got to pick our holes and where we want to have business here and not business there. Look, man, Michael Jordan said way back, Republicans buy tennis shoes too. We want to sell to everybody. And he already refused to do the halftime show. That was enough. And this is a business decision. Colin's going to be fine. He's doing well with his thing. He's killing things with Nike. They shot down the Betsy Ross thing on the last set of shoes they were going to. Oh, that's still going on. But this is a business decision.
John, hey,
I am not somebody that buys Jay-Z music, but I do know this. In a business decision, you're not thinking about ethnicity. You're not thinking about religion. This is all about, you're not thinking about politics either. This is all about business.
All right, John, thank you. I appreciate it. We could agree to disagree. Martin in El Paso, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. Because, I mean, you could sit there and talk about money, business decision, or whatever. But everything's not for sale. Everything is not for sale. At some point, you got to stand up for something, and you can't always take a check. That's all I'm saying. And if you want to do that, when Michael Jordan said that, and he's never really said that, that's like the rumored thing that he said Republicans buy sneakers too. They actually never have a quote from him saying that, but he got criticized from a lot of people.
How much can people do for Colin Kaepernick to defend Colin Kaepernick before he's got to come out and defend himself publicly? Why is it everybody else's fight to defend a guy who won't talk?
Because it's not just about Colin Kaepernick. It wasn't just about him. It was about what was going on in this country during that time.
And it's
you
terrible.
know what? And
I get it.
People have sacrificed in this country. This is why we're where we are, and we've had a black president. At one time, we were second-class citizens, counted as a third of a man. Yeah. I mean, this is where we've come from.
And I say this because, look, my brother's wife is African American. They have 2 kids together. I lived in the South, and they still have slave quarters up, and it's weird. I don't get it. I don't understand. I've been to the plantations. I took a tour of it, and it was legitimate slave, and it's uncomfortable and it's disgusting. And when you see how certain people had to live like that, it's reprehensible and it's gross. And there's terrible things that happen. And those terrible things, I feel like Kaepernick did an amazing job at presenting that to the public and shining a spotlight on it and at least creating awareness for it. But I just don't know how it's just an easy slight to Colin Kaepernick that Jay-Z agreed on a partnership with the NFL. At some point, if Colin Kaepernick really wants back in the NFL and feels his way, doesn't he have the obligation to come out and speak instead of letting everybody else speak for him?
I think that they've had those conversations. I do believe that, whether or not that they were interested in him or not. Evan in Virginia, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What you got? Evan. There you go.
Rob,
Evan.
I agree. I agree with you on this one, Rob.
All right, why?
See, Evan.
Rob, I agree with you on this one, Rob.
All right, tell me why.
Because Jay-Z is got a pull on the demographic of a younger black American. The NFL trying to get slick on this one because they want to get them to pull Jay-Z to help pull them in and get them off of this thing. Because Colin has not spoken, but nobody has asked him. I mean, why Colin hasn't got to sit down with Stephen A. Smith? Why hasn't somebody else asked Colin to come and sit down with them so we can hear what Colin had to say? Yeah. Everybody says they haven't heard what Colin has to say. Has Colin been asked? Rob, have you asked Colin to come on your show?
Yeah, I mean they've tried to for Undisputed. Absolutely,
Evan. There's not a network on the planet that hasn't reached out to try and get Colin Kaepernick for an interview.
All right, appreciate the call. Let's go to Justin in Salt Lake City. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up?
Hey guys. First of all, I love the show.
Thank you very much.
I'm always Camp Rob. Tonight I heard something that you said, and I hope you can distinguish it for me. Maybe clarify it for me a little bit. But it sounded like you said a lot of the problems, the dispute with Colin Kaepernick's kneeling came from the white community. That white people were offended by that. Is that what I heard? And if so, can you please explain?
Yeah, I just said that when you brought it up earlier, John Mara said the fans, they said they wouldn't buy Giants tickets.
Yeah, he's full of crap.
It wasn't in the black community and people I talked to, people didn't have a big issue. I'm not saying nobody did or black people walk in lockstep. No group of people do. But most of it seemed to be white fans who just didn't want to take part in it and didn't want to be involved. That's why they stopped showing it on TV. They stopped doing all kinds of stuff.
Look, as a white guy, I don't have a military background, but I'll just say this as a white guy, it didn't offend me that he took a knee. And that may offend military people, but their background, African Americans' background, all of it comes into this, and it has a play in all of this stuff. To me, I wouldn't have done the approach. That's not the way I would have thought. But the fact that he took a knee, that's how he feels. That's how he feels.
Hey, Rob in Pennsylvania, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Rob?
What's up, you guys?
What's up, Rob?
Great to have you on. First, Rob, I gotta agree with you. And Jonas, I believe you're being a little naive on this one, and it's not your fault. Number one, the NFL is Jay-Z is being very just hypocritical. Because when Colin first did this, he was lockstep with him. And I'm surprised you guys don't notice that the NFL is basically throwing money at all the black stars to make us pick a side. And basically, when he first took his stance, this is why I got to disagree with you, Jonas. There were 5 players that the NFL brought back who were out of retirement. They clearly blackballed this guy. They brought back guys like Matt Castle, Tim Tebow, Jay Cutler.
Rob, they brought those guys back because they were willing to play for the contracts that were offered, and they were willing to be backups.
You think that? Hold on. You think that Colin Kaepernick's stance?
Hello?
Thanks for the call. Had nothing to do with him not getting on a team or getting an offer.
It may have played a little part in it, but let's not pretend like Colin Kaepernick just all of a sudden had no opportunities and no options out there. I don't buy that for a second. I just don't buy that for a second. I think there's more to it than that. A lot of the drama attached to it, whether it's right or wrong, or if people feel like it had, I think there's more to it than that, man. I just don't think it's a cut and dry situation.
Hey, it's the Odd Couple. I'm Chris. He is Rob, and we want to encourage all of you to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's right. You can listen to us on the radio, and now you can watch us as well, and it's fun.
No question about it. And remember, all